السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والقاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وحاده إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقدار العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. الحمد لله رب العالمين. أفضل صلاة وتام تسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين علماء عاملين وأئمة أربعين مجتهدين مقلديهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Welcome to another the Soullutionz podcast. Presents the Black History Month discussion. I'm one of your hosts, Imam Abdullah Ameen, along with Amir Khalil, Abdullahi, and brother Saleh Abdul Mujeeb. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everyone who is watching on YouTube, please like and share the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Everyone who is watching on Facebook, please like and share the video and try to keep the Facebook and YouTube algorithm going. This discussion that we're having, as we all know, Black history is longer than 1 month. It's thousands upon thousands of information that can be researched on Black history that could take a decade, not just 1 month. However, this history that we have it also coincides with American history, world history, not just with regard to Black history. It coincides with American history, world history, and the like, right? Because you look at melanated people are all over the world, not just in the African diaspora, but they're all over the world. And there are so many contributions that have been brought to the world in regards to inventions and inventors. Just think of a world without Black people. How the world would be. If Black people never existed, how would the world be? Many of the things that we take advantage of, and many of things that we utilize in our time and take advantage of and don't appreciate. If it wasn't for Black people being existing, this stuff wouldn't even exist. You look at things as it relates to music. It wouldn't even be country music if it wasn't for Black people, because country music came from R&B, came from rhythm and blues or rhythm and soul, right? I mean, so you look at the doorknob. Something simple as the doorknob. Doorknob was invented by a Black man, right? Before the invention of the doorknob, they used levers to open and close the doors. And devices to lock them was with barricade, right? With the doorknob, it's automatically locked, right? So I mean, it's just things that are simple. I mean, so many simplicities that we utilize that was invented. Even the air condition, the cell phone. I mean, stuff is invented by Black people. So it's a lot of it's a lot of things that was credited that to credited to black people that society benefit from. I'm saying, a lot of stuff that was invented by black people that white people stole, just like they stole music. I mean, they stole the music. They're black musicians will make an album, make a song, and the record producers, they'll put a white group on it and make it seem like it's their music. The Beach Boys music, that was all what's the boy name that was with Chess Records? Chuck Berry. That was all Chuck Berry music. It's Maybelline. Maybelline, they made it into the surfing song, right? So this is a discussion. It's not really a discussion about bringing about a solution. The only solution that you can relate to is to increase your knowledge of who you are, increase the knowledge of self, who you are, increase the knowledge of self, so you know yourself, so you know your Lord, and so you continue to maintain and to strive to do better and become better, right? And think about what can you leave behind as a legacy for the people, for the mankind to benefit from, to where to also count as on your record as a Sadaqah Jariyah. Like building a masjid, or building a school, or building a clinic, or leaving behind knowledge that you have taught that people are continuously practicing, putting it into practice, right? That you have left. Yeah, cell phone was created by a black man. All right. Abdul Mujeeb, you ready?
No.
Hey, you sound like your niece, like your niece over there. You know what I'm saying? No, I ain't doing it. No,
No.
but seriously, seriously,
mashallah, some things, with me, man, I'll be thinking everything is like a cliche. We black, so let's talk about, the Black History Month and, black people. And, we know so much that, the influence that, the blacks we had, right? And sometimes I think us black folk, we use that as to so much pride to the point where we feel as though we can't do better with ourselves. And it can end up being arrogance because we know we did these things, right? So, with me, sometimes I'm like, okay, our history well enough to know about, you know, who made peanut butter, all these type of things. We learned this in school, right? But now, where has this gotten us, right? Especially with us, are we still going off the? Do we still have this Jim Crow mentality? Right? Do we still have that? Because we could learn so much about ourselves and still be so segregated and still can't come together, right? Or even when it comes to our communities, right? When it comes to community efforts, do we walk, or do anything for community work? Such as when we hear about our young black men dying in the middle of the streets, do we go to the city hall meetings and come up with these issues? Do we try to start things where we're doing marching to stop the gun violence? I'm talking about in the masses. And do we care, right? Do we care, right? Here go the real one, right? Do we care until it's one of our own children that's laid out in the middle of the street? Or do we have this no stitching, we don't see anything policy that's still plaguing our communities, right? So sometimes I'll be like, I don't like talking too much about that. I feel as though we, if we're going to talk about it, since we're Muslim now, speak about, some of our great, Muslim scholars. An example, y'all have, your masjid is named by one of the greatest, shuyukh, in Islam, right? How much do we know about Uthman Dan Fodio, right? And with me, I believe, I wanted y'all to have the floor because this is the time for y'all to, express more about the Shehu, to give more detail about him, and his family. What's this? I'm kind of tired. What's the brother name, man? Who the rich Muslim Mansa Musa, right? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Massa
Mansa
Musa,
Musa,
the
right?
predecessor of Massa Abu Bakr.
Right.
You know, Massa Musa. His he was the Massa Abu Bakr was the predecessor of Massa Musa. Massa Abu Bakr sailed to the Americas with 70 fleets of ships. But this was before Columbus, and did trade with the inhabitants of the Americas here in the Caribbean islands and in South America and in the shores of North America. And he had made another voyage back to Africa to bring back gold that he traded, traded other goods for gold with the inhabitants. So then when he made the final voyage back to the Americas, he had vowed never to return. So a lot of the gold that the nation of Mali came from the Americas. When Christopher Columbus first made his first voyage, and he sailed looking for the Indies, but he had landed on the island of Cuba. He's if you read his memoirs, that he saw dugout canoes leaving the Americas with women with veils and big gold earrings hanging from underneath their kimars. During this particular time, having gold like that was a fashion. So he had put this in his memoirs. And Master Musa, his Hajj, his pilgrimage, he changed the economy across Africa, and brought gold. Gave away so much gold that he changed the economy. To the point to where at one time gold was high. Then he made it very very low because everyone had it. So on the way back from Mecca, he bought back a lot of the gold uh, on his way back to Mali. It's like, and during that particular time, when people made Hajj, they would go out they would go out to make Hajj like in Rajab. Depending on where they're at in the world, and they'll travel by camelback or by ship or whatever. Um, so it'll take some time to get there. That's why a lot of times when people used to go to Hajj, they would go to Hajj with the intention to never return. That's why every year there's so many janazas after every salah. When people make Hajj, right? So and then even with the Shehu Uthman Dan Fodio, there was a documentary that had came out. It wasn't a documentary. It was a video. It was talking, and the video was talking about the dynasties and empires throughout Africa. They mentioned like maybe 20 empires, right? 20 dynasties. but they did not make one mention of Sheikh Uthman Dan Fodio to God Ameen. I knew why they didn't mention it, because for them to mention it, they would have to um tell what happened to other empires as a result of that, like the Songhai and the Ashanti Caliphate and the Songhai Caliphate. You know what I'm saying? When the Sokoto Caliphate rose, it dominated all of the earlier caliphates, right? So, and Islam spread through sub-Saharan Africa through that during that particular time, because everywhere that each time the empire spread, the Khilafah spread, Islam was being taught. Every province was given Ihya Sunnah wa Ikhmad al-Bid'ah, right? Every governor, every wazir, and the empire was so vast. It was from northern Nigeria to Sudan, not just in that one area. You know what I'm saying? It spread straight all the way across Africa, and it lasted 100 years, from 1803 to 1903. All right, from 1803 to 1903. This was like the 12th century Hijra.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think my mic got muted. Sound like them brothers.
like
Salam.
catch you.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Nah, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah, man. I think the topic, the title is a little boring. It was just something to throw together. You know what I'm saying? I ain't been on my A game. You know, Sully. I don't know if you love black people, man. You should be up on this joint. Don't try to talk about I leave it to y'all. Now you should know about your history, your legacy, akhi. You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But no, on a more serious note, though, when it comes to, I honestly, you know, a lot of people when they talk about Black History Month, I don't think most people don't know. A lot of people attribute me like, well, you know, we only acknowledge black people because, you know, the white man. It really ain't got nothing to do with white people. It was Carter G. Woodson. Carter G. Woodson. They used to have Black History Week. It used to only be for 1 week, and end up expanding to a Black History Month. But as I grew older and as a Muslim, I do realize that there's a vast difference between Black American Muslims and Black Americans, right? We're not the same. We say we share the same oppression, but we're not the same. The problem is that a lot of our indigenous or inner city, whatever you want to label it, you know, counterparts, a lot of them haven't pulled away from the lifestyle they used to live before Islam, prior to Islam. When we speak of history pertaining to Black Americans, one, the whole thing about black versus white, that's all the thing is an extension of white supremacy. White supremacists established themselves. If you were white, you were dominant, and if you were black, you were less than, right? And it affects us as Muslims, as a group of Muslims, because all you have to do is pay attention to all of the Muslim lecturers and the different groups that claim to be working in the on behalf of black people. That lack of confidence that we possess, it's always a self-destruct button. It always puts you back to, you know, it puts you back at a low point. Some people feel like, you know, they might know a little history that puts them somewhere, but quoting history that doesn't affect your lifestyle is just really like a good book to read. It's just equivalent to reading a book from George Washington, right? It's pretty much the same thing. So it has to have some sort of mobilizing effect upon you. So the first thing to understand with, with the whole concept of Black history, it's the counteract, because everything was whitewashed. Whenever a people dominates the land, they control the history, right? And so the narrative has always been, and this is why it also affects us as well, as Black men. The narrative has always been, we lack the ability to protect women. We lack the ability to influence our children, right? And so they used to lynch us in public, public markets and things of that nature. But now they, we kind of like lynch ourselves, or the lynchings is being broadcasted on Instagram, YouTube, and things of that nature. The inability, because of the influence of capitalism and us being, people that are dedicated to money. Most people's religion is money. And so if you don't have none, then therefore you're deemed to be a lacking father or a lacking mother or a lacking family, and you're less than. So therefore your whole ideology is already geared and directed towards that. That also plays on your self-esteem, right? And so with you having low self-esteem, so then what happens is you build a culture based off of your insecurities or your low self-esteem. So this is why you have things like, if you can't provide me $5,000 in a dowry, the dowry is the worth of the woman. If you can't, you start to develop and adapt these ideas, right? With a mahar, is just that, a mahar. It's a gift, a marriage gift. That's what it is. But if you ever notice, we put all the extra sugar and butter in our grits. You know what I'm saying? For metaphorically speaking. And
that
then
was real Black. That was real Black.
Yeah, I'm trying to go Black today. I ain't started talking about Louisiana hot sauce yet. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that change and that shifts the dynamic of our lifestyle, right? And so when you think and limit yourself to counteracting, because a lot of our moves that we make are reactionary. It's a reactionary movement. Most movements are reactionary. You know what I'm saying? The whole wave now that you've been having, Ahl Sunnah versus Wahhabi, the joint is reactionary to some degree, right? Except those who've been doing it because they believe that, that is the truth and something's supposed to be. But for the most part, Black America was exposed and left to Wahhabism. Now everybody's coming back like, no, this, and so if you look at the fluctuation of Black America Islam, it's always been introduced by, with Islamic concept, but with the realities of some deviants, right? And then there's always a counter movement that comes across that counters it. And so instead of it being a process of learning, right, it's a process of fighting and refutation. And so therefore, and we're fighting, or the beginning with refutation, right, which later ends up translating into fighting, which equals, what the end game is, where equals is jail or death. It's a self-destructive movement, right? And then also you got to look at it. White supremacists or white supremacy has always used the Pharaonic model, the Pharaoh model, right? As Allah Ta'ala tells you in the Quran, I almost called him Shaitan. Well, he is a Shaitan. But Pharaoh, he divided the people up in sects and groups. And he raised some and lowered the lowest of one to be, the ones that are oppressed, right? The lowest man on the totem pole gets the worst of the oppression, right? And so therefore, if you need a real live example, all you have to do is look at the criminal justice system, right? I mean, it's so bad now that even white counterparts are saying that it's rigged. It's a systemic racist, system set up. But however, every time you talk about a system and white supremacy and finding justice and things of that nature, it's never with a superior mind state. There's not too many people that's been oppressed by people without at least trying to find their way to dominate in that society, right? Only thing we keep seeming to desire is some sort of equality, because you know anything else is not going to be handed to you, and all you have to do is go back and study the lectures of Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, right? You know, you can't keep, you know, like an example. I'll give you an example, Saleh, right? If two men are fighting over a woman, they fight over a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's considered the person who's the victor, who won, you know, who won the war or the battle for the woman? What is usually the signs? If you got two men fighting over one woman, right? Alaikum salam. How do you determine you the victor, the one who won or won the woman?
The one who gets the you know, that's like you basically said it. The victor is the one who wins.
Exactly. Who basically dominated the other guy, right?
Who dominated the other man. Absolutely. Okay,
you won't have it no other way, correct?
Correct.
So why are we settled? Why do we, and I'm talking about as a group of Black Americans, why are we comfortable in settling for just having the woman's leg while the man runs off with the rest of the body? You see what I'm saying? This is what happens for us. We only want a little bit, the little droplets or sprinkles or crumbs of freedom, right? We want the little crumbs. We don't want the whole thing. So when you start talking about men who were not only scholars, because see, if you look at our Islamic influence, we're stopped at scholars. Some scholars rightfully can be considered armchair scholars, meaning he's a writer. You know, it's not saying that, it's not to downplay his contribution, but you also had scholars who were scholar warriors. And when you start studying Islamic African history, you start to see that our ancestors, while the transatlantic slave trade was going on, we wasn't just getting led over like some cattle, with a chain around our neck getting led on a boat. Dudes was rumbling. They only give you, they give you the jihad of Sheikh Uthman Dan Fodio was going on simultaneously while the transatlantic slave trade was going on, right? And a lot of what do you call them guys? A lot of historians, they like to say, oh, the Arabs opened the trade market, etc., etc. The Arabs that they're talking about is the people up in the north, the Moroccans. They're African too. They're white Africans. And the problem with that, when you do the history, the two of them, what happened was there was a collaboration between the two. They were constantly working with the Portuguese.
They wasn't white then though. They was all shades. They was all shades of complexions.
Absolutely.
But really, when they say that the Arabs was started slave was in the slave trade, they're actually talking about black people enslaving black people.
Now you talking about Arabs? Anybody who spoke Arabic language, John.
That's who would predominantly spoke the Arabic.
You could put the skin tone. You could put the skin tone to it, but the truth of the matter is everybody had their hand in on it, because even if you look at there was a lot of slave traders that were black African as well. Africans don't see themselves the same way we see blacks. We think everybody who's black is your man. No, they got tribalism. If you ain't from my tribe, I don't bang with you like that. Right? So this is also another thing. We can't look at our history through the spectacles of white supremacy. You can't worry about whether the skin tone was dark or whether it was white, and who was melanated, and whether you was created by Yaqub, the big head scientist, and all that stuff. All that stuff is nonsense. Exactly. Like the brother said, slave trading was a business. That joint was like trading sugarcane, trading tobacco, trading guns, right? But there's a point that I was making, is that you have this is the type of history a lot of people aren't exposed to. And sometimes it's propaganda. Like, for instance, when I was coming up as a Muslim, I used to always wonder, yo, I don't never hear nothing about black African scholars. I heard Islam spread all over the world. Oh, you don't really want to Africans, they're people, they Sufis and deviants and this, that, and the third. Now you're like, oh man, spawn like everybody. So, you know, the first book I ran into by Sheikh Uthman Danfodio, it wasn't the Sword of Truth. It wasn't none of those books with Marvin Hiskett or any of them other authors. The first book I ran into was the Ihya Sunnah wa Ikhmal al-Bid'ah, and I got it directly from Sheikh Muhammad Sharif. Right? So therefore, that landed me right in that direction. Why is that? Because of that zeal, that love I had for the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? And now, okay, so now I can identify culturally with the people. Because why are you identifying with that? Because that is the lands of origin where your ancestors was kidnapped and captured from, right? So you identifying, you seeing it, because there was a lot of ramblings and discussions about the indigenous African Americans were Muslim. I mean, the African slaves were Muslim. I call them prisoners of war. They were Muslim, right? And so now this history is starting to open up. Why? What does that do? That motivates you. When you know your history, it's motivating, right? It's motivating. So it does something, it does something for you, especially when you're telling it, when you're growing up, everybody's telling you basically behave, act white. This is considered the right thing. You got to do this and this, that, and the third. That stuff had an effect on your psyche. And we're still raising our children like that now. Because of our lack of fortitude and this desire to establish communities where we behave and practice Islam with a bipolar type of mindset, almost schizophrenic. We have two realities. We say we Muslim, when we get in the marketplace, we take off our kufi. We almost hide in ourselves, right? Then when we get around other Muslims and we want to make some noise, you always got some loudmouth talking about, I'm black, man. I'm black. And ain't nobody going to make me be no Arab. Right? This is what you have. This is our reality. You're almost like schizophrenic. When you start talking about the Prophet say so, they kind of become mute, but then they don't want nothing to do with the Sunnah. Right? It's just a big contradiction. But motivation, you have to be motivated. Now, I've seen a couple comments up here, right? And I'm gonna speak on. But
to add in, right? When you hear them say that, right? That they don't want to be Arab, right? Is normally about dress, right? But if you think about it, we wear a bunch of European clothing. Absolutely. Made by the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K elemental P's.
Now, I want to add something to that, Saleh. You ever heard of you heard of Rio de Janeiro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bahia, Brazil. That was the state of Bahia, Brazil. Now, on the 3rd, there was 3 attempts of a revolt down there, right? So what happened was the people were some people were buying out their freedom, and some people were still slaves on the plantation. The Muslims led the revolt because the Muslims, they would communicate with each other. Guess what language they would use? Arabic. And then so whatever tribe they were from, because you were from different tribes, just because you were black, that didn't mean y'all are all the same. They spoke different languages, right? But the thing that unified the Muslims was the Arabic language. And so then what happened was the people, they would get motivated. There was a tailor. He had a shop. I know his name was Alpha something. But anyway, he would make thobes, right? The long thobes that we see that you call Arab clothes. He made kufis, right? They made imamas, right? They made guards for the women, and they would teach them they fought iron, teach them Islam, right? They communicated in Arabic language, and those who didn't speak Arabic, they communicated with them. Now, this is one of the things that drew my conclusion, my mindset to the statement I made earlier that Black American Muslims and Black Americans are two different things. The people who went and capitulated with the, you know, with whoever was in government. I don't know what to call it, but they was in government. They told them the plans that look, they were planning a revolt, and so that's how they stopped it. Right, the same thing with Nat Turner. Right, they snitched, and it crushed the revolt. And you have the same thing today, and sometimes you don't even realize you caught right in it. Right, so therefore, when it comes to community, what happens? It breaks down. Now, so the thing was about what you call it, about you gave back the kuffar their culture. Right, now, if you look at, I'm gonna give you 3 people you look up because they were transitional. The start of it was at the end of the reign of Sheikh Uthman Dan Fodio, right? And it transformed. You had Hajj Umar Tal, right? And it'll be ending with Sheikh Ahmed Ubamba. Those 3 names, look them up, right? Uthman Dan Fodio, Umar Tal, they fought physically. They fought a physical jihad. Sheikh Ahmed Ubamba, he didn't fight the physical fight, but one thing he did, his fight was a different style of fighting. His fighting was he rejected all European French culture. He didn't want their clothes. He didn't want their language. He didn't desire none of that. His whole focus and demeanor was that of establishing the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? They testified to his righteousness. So, like I said, the first 2 names I mentioned, they fought physically. They educated people. They fought. The last one, the Sheikh, he didn't have the opportunity to fight because they weren't in a position to fight against the French colonists. But however, they rejected anything from them. They didn't say, yo, you know, we Black American Muslims. While they got on they LGB suit, they Gucci suit, right? By wearing those clothes, being arrogant, you know, you can learn the deen in English now. You don't need nothing. That's today's people.
You forgot to mention Abdul Dan Tafa.
Dan Tafa was really under the Shehu, and he was under Omar Tal. There's no need to mention him separately unless you talk a scholastic work. We're talking about the general who led to influence that whole society. Umar Tal influenced that whole Western side. He spread that jihad. Matter of fact, he actually shifted because with his teachings, he also taught it by means of a tariqah, and he taught the youth because all the elders were Qadri. You know what I'm saying? He taught the youth, and that's how it got spread further. You know, think about. I quoted it on this show a couple of weeks ago. The Sheikh Ahmed Ubamba's grandmother, you know, the Sanidi is another poem that he wrote because his grandmother taught it. It was a awrad, a dhikr of from the Tijanis. So that's why they mentioned Dan Tafa. Dan Tafa, he would fall under more like a scholar. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about statesmen who changed and shifted the society. You know, and up to this day, you still have the reminiscences of West Africa and so on and so forth. You know, sometimes we get locked in the peripheral things on whether or not if this particular, you know, garb is from this area specifically. Because when you start looking at the Sudanese, and I'm using that generally, Black people in the eastern, you know, in the eastern regions of Africa, they don't have the same design print as you would have with the West Africans. But overall, the thobe looks the same. It's a long thobe. It has sleeves on it, right? The print, the material may be different, right? So these, you know, so what happens in today's time, we're so dedicated to Gucci and things that we pride ourselves off of that. And we be poor as I don't know what, be dirt poor. Dudes be homeless and got on a $1,000 Gucci belt. You got your preview of what reparations would be like when you had COVID, when you had all that PPA money and all that stuff running around. That was a preview. Most people that had that money in burnt through that joint. They already done.
Man, the Gucci line was around the corner in King of Prussia Mall
So
because of
there
that
you
PPP.
go, right? So these things, and why is that? They don't know who they are. They're trying to redefine themselves. You're trying to redefine yourself with the master, with your oppressor, your master's language, with his law, right? Think about it. All of the civil rights fighting and all that, they could have been like knocked out some of this stuff, but they agree with it. That's why they let it go on. Well, we got to get everybody to agree. In the Constitution, to this day, a Black American person is still considered 3/5 of a human being. It's in the Constitution.
Let's get even deeper, right? When we're talking about culture, right? Think
Right.
about the culture that we have so much embedded in Europeans, right? If you think of an Irishman, right? I'm gonna ask you this first, and then I'm gonna rebuttal it. When you think of an Irishman day-to-day life, right? What do you always see them doing in movies and stuff like that? What were they based on? Khalil?
What you mean? They usually either criminal or they was police officers.
It's criminal. They go to a bar. You always see them fighting at a bar. All that type of stuff, right? If you now think about it, think how much so that we're so embedded into the European culture. What is the stuff called here? Pubs. Yeah. Black people, we go to a pub, we go to a bar, we get drunk, we act reckless, and we fight at a club all the time, at a bar all the time, right? Our behavior is so much of the European culture, such as the Irish, right? Because that's where the mass majority of us, really, if you think about it, right? Like the slave, the Scottish and the Irish people who was, really held a threshold in the South, right? We act like we're Irish people.
Well, this Irish. This is one of the things. They came with their culture. They have their culture, right? But they're all in it. Everybody that's in America, right?
The Irish
America
and the Italians
white. It's like the migrant land, right? You had Italians migrated here. You have Chinese that migrated here. You have some Japanese that migrate here, right? They all keep their cultures. They got Chinatown, Little Tokyo, Little Italy. They got a little everything, right? Now, so when they show up, they kept their culture. Our lineage, our people didn't come here the same manner. We didn't give, and even now, even when our brothers and sisters who come to America leaving from the lands where there's majority Muslim, in order to get here, they have to still raise their hand and give that half a takbir. You know that takbir where we raise our two hands, the takbir ihram, Allahu Akbar. They have to do a half of one, right? They have to swear, basically based on the Constitution and things of that nature, right? So and it still goes on, and so then they're bringing in part of their culture and they're establishing. They may refer to it as pubs. Some people refer to this stuff. We refer to it as speakeasies, right? You got different names for it, but one thing that's common in that you mentioned, Saleh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that intoxicants is the handiwork of shaitan. No matter what culture we put on that joint, it's still shaitan's work. That's why dudes be fighting, rumbling, you know what I'm saying? Rooting, pooting, shooting on some 70 Sam type stuff. That's why, because it still got the shaitan all up in the midst. And so then what happens is reactionary of people that don't have no culture, like you said, they'll formulate their own thing based off of what they see others doing. We don't even claim it as our own. We just do it. And if there's ever anything that had some sort of popularity to it, it get ransacked, and get claimed by somebody else. And so this is sometimes, like, I remember one time we were in a masjid and it got real passionate, because we were talking about music, right? And yes, it's true. With Black Americans, a lot of Islam was spread through musicians, jazz musicians. Like one that I met, Rahmatullahi alayh, Sheikh Ahmed Jamal, right? He's Muslim long time ago, way back, right? However, he was like a jazz pianist, right? They gave dawah. There was a lot of guys that were Muslim, you know, that were musicians and things of that nature that gave dawah, you know, and called other people to Islam. Well, alhamdulillah. But this conversation wasn't even talking about them type of people. They were talking about who established rock and roll first. If it's just something you just kicking the Willy Bobo, but this joint got kind of passionate and dudes was insulting each other, you know, based on that. But this is really of no benefit. What is it going to do? It's going to, you know, it might motivate me to go put out an album. You understand what I'm saying? It motivated me to put out an album. And then what happens is when most of us, when we get money, we get access, you know, to go out and explore the earth or go learn. You know, we ain't coming back trying to like really establish nothing. We get tired. We like, yo, I'm done with black people. I'm out of here. Right? I feel like that joint like 10 times a day. Right? But guess what? You still got a job to do. Not everybody has the truth. Not everybody has the hot. And then you got to prioritize it. Right? Now, history in and of itself, you know, I believe that every Black American indigenous that's here has to have some sort, you have to establish lineage. I don't care if you trace yourself back and claim a lineage, but you have to have that established. Because what is your history? We don't see anything we do of true value. That's why we always push everybody else up to the forefront. You ever been in a masjid, right? And everybody's in there, it's time to pray. And, you know, it might be a brother from another country. And just because he's from that other country, you push him up there to lead the prayer. He might not even know anything about the Salah.
And going there be like, Alhamdulillah, Rabbi Amir, Rahman Rahim, and
right. You know what I mean? But you push him up there. You're like, yo, he must know. Go ahead, Sheikh. Tafadhal, Sheikh. Right? And this is how that is an inferiority complex. Now let me clarify this before I say that. Don't you go and jump your behind up there and try to lead no prayer if you don't know what you're doing. If you can't pronounce the Fatiha, don't you get up there and start. If you don't butcher the Quran, right? You should be learning all the time. The best way to be ready is to stay ready. And
what's the guy name y'all called that was messing up the Quran?
Hacking up the Quran.
What's his name?
It wasn't one brother. It's a couple stories like that, but the one I'm thinking about, it wasn't one. Well, it was one particular brother, but it wasn't him. It was some brothers who said he got ready to leave Fajr, and the brother was like, "Oh no, no, let somebody else lead the salah. Let brother so and so lead the prayer. We don't need you butchering it this morning." Yo, that joke was the funniest thing I ever.
What was the nickname y'all gave? Y'all gave somebody a nickname. What was the nickname y'all gave him?
I ain't even gonna go in that joint. We used to call the brother Stole. But all seriousness, we gotta take Islam a bit more serious. And then you also gotta understand too, there's a political slight with going on when it comes to Black Americans. If you ever notice in everything Black people's involved in, there's always an artificial group that's there with them, right? Like what I mean is this. The whole term of minority, right? And using that minority. With that term minority, they threw women under there. They threw homosexuals under there. They opened the door and started inviting non-native black people and threw them under that umbrella. So the minority changed, right? So therefore, it could not be recognized and dealt with from a human rights perspective, right? From a UN charter. So they kept it like on a civil rights, right? And so this is part of the reason they say why Malcolm and also Martin was assassinated, because they were speaking about going to the UN with Article 27 establishing, rights of self-determination. These type of things ain't even talked about no more. These type of things ain't even talked about because it's been eradicated from the youth. And then when you become Muslim, then it's like, yo, we don't care about anything but the Sharia, which is ultimately what it's supposed to be. But however, you're residing here, so now you got to figure out where you stand at. Most people walking around have no clue. Their biggest battle ain't even to get away from kufr. Their biggest battle is to like, yo, I'm just trying to get the new Xbox. I'm just trying to go on vacation. I'm just trying to get this money. Poverty influences your iman. You can't establish now. You mentioned, one of y'all mentioned about Mansa Musa earlier, right? One of the things that Mansa Musa was responsible for, we know him about the gold, right? But he was also responsible for bringing back scholars into what established the Shanghai Institute, the Shanghai Empire. And one of the most notable scholars that come from there that was part of influencing in the Bilad al-Sudan was Imam Jamaluddin al-Suyuti. A lot of his fatwa, you'll find it's very common to find people, they say, in Mali, in Timbuktu, named like Muhammad so-and-so Suyuti. Right? So this is the thing we don't understand that. We pride like, oh, the great scholars, but what scholars was connected with the people in our regions? In our regions. Like there's a great push. This is just me. This is my opinion. But I always notice that everybody knows about Andalusia, but nobody knows about Bilad al-Sudan. Why does everybody know about Andalusia? Because Andalusia was technically a part of Europe. Spain. What's that little thing with a boot that Italy's kicking? Sicily. That's what. And so it's like, yeah, and so the Latino brothers, they line themselves
which was also a Muslim empire as well, Sicily.
It falls under Andalus, but that's what I'm saying. But when it comes to the Bilad al-Sudan, nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows anything. It's just like, oh, there was another caliph in existence even when the Ottomans had their thing going on. It was called the Sokoto Caliphate. But nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about how the Muslims, along with the Portuguese, sided with the Portuguese to destroy the Shanghai Empire. Nobody talks about that. Right? So therefore, you're left to believe whatever you want to believe. And then if you ever notice the subliminal mind training that people had when you think of anything with the indigenous, right, in West Africa, right, or even Northern Africa, when you say the word Africa, right, which is the colonizers' term, right, when you say that word, they always show you some butt naked dude running around with spears.
And bone in his nose.
With a bone in his nose. Muslims wore clothes. The Muslims wore clothes. A great portion of what you call it is part of is Muslim. Great portion of Africa, right? Then there's another portion in peace where this is where with my my brothers from the Moors, I think that whole thing of Noble Jew Ali was just a distraction. Because I believe it's a validity to the, to the claim with the Moors, but one of the things Morocco had with America, because Morocco was the first nation to recognize America's sovereignty, right? Was that any of the Muslims that were captured and they were people of color, they were supposed to return them back to Morocco. And that broke the treaty. That was something that would break the treaty, but somehow, some way, that got swept under the rug. There's a lot of history that's out there, and it should make you motivated. It should put some esteem to you, right? You need some other image other than our sons and daughters, looking at all these rappers and things of this nature, right? Because we as Muslims got one culture. Our children's legacy is being built off of what's his name, Black Kodak and Little Uzi and yachts and all them dudes.
Yo, ho. You lost it. Hold on. Can you do?
Think about it. Hold on. Let me make my point. It may be something that's neutral, but dudes, Muslims are committing kufr on a regular basis when they say on King David, on the dead homies. This is kufr. There's no permissibility in Islam at all, joking or unjokingly, to swear on anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how you know we're playing with our own lifestyle. Meanwhile, you got the kuffar embracing, talking about some wallahi, Kafirs are saying it now. This is how lost can we be? We can't continue to be this lost. Parents got one culture, our children with little rat, Uzi, Kodak Blue, and all them niggas, the Negroes. What's happening? That's what's running our masjid. These young boys coming in there with blood pressure cuff pants on. Tight as hell, look like they little sisters' clothes. Little sisters' clothes, bro. I was like cracking up. The only thing I made a joke one time. I said, well, at least in Philly, they at least try to practice isbal. They put their pants leg, they tight behind pants legs above their ankles. At least they do isbal. But what was you about to say, Saleh?
No, I was about to take your cool card back because you said Black Kodak.
Look, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm territorial. If you ain't from the East Coast, I ain't really bang with them anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna take your card, but Kodak Black, yeah, because the young boy's gonna die. Well, next thing you know, we're gonna see a whole bunch of comments in the same time. Kodak Black, oh man.
You got all these guys, and a lot of these guys are Muslim. A lot of these guys are Muslim, and so we always look up to the big screen. We always want the faces on the big screen. If I take a picture with a rapper, right, then all of a sudden now I get all kinds of viewers and hits and things like that. Now it's cool. Now it's cool to talk to Khalil Abdullahi, right? I don't take a picture with a rapper or somebody famous. Nah, they just talking. You see what I'm saying? This isn't Islam. We always respected a person based on their spiritual state. You show that regard to them. You show regard to the elders because that's why the Prophet ﷺ told them. You show respect to the youth because that's what the Prophet ﷺ told us. Right? Things are totally mixed up now. We don't have no identity, no history. And then on top of that, when you stuck in that mind frame of the white supremacist mind frame, has to be either black or white. Then you start going at the Sahabas. Well, he wasn't black. He was this. You remember, Muhammad, you remember that controversy about the statement that I'm gonna say ta'lim on them. It's also in the Shifa al-Qadiyyah, where it says whoever insults the Prophet sallallahu, or attribute saying that the Prophet sallallahu was black, right? He said that he should be punished for that.
No.
That controversy behind that joint. But it mentions about, and people were just like stuck on that joint. But the truth of the matter is, you can't alter the description of the Prophet sallallahu. You can't say it was white either.
No, you can't.
You can't say it was white. Can't say it was Chinese. But it was a big controversy. It was a big controversy behind that. And the book is thousands of years old, hundreds of years old. Right? But anyway, I think I done talked enough. Go ahead, good brothers. Let's see what some of the comments are saying. I know something about. I can't. I don't know.
Anika, she asked, what did y'all think about the legalization of marijuana?
Allah ain't make it legal. They made it legal for the people. I think it's a lot of twists and turns with it. It's another substance abuse that's being abused. It was more of a recreational drug before it was actually a medicinal, used for medicinally. It's like cocaine. Cocaine was used medicinally, and then it just became recreational. As the words of my sheikh Rick James said, cocaine was a hell of a drug, right? So it became popular. The motivation I mean, people utilizing marijuana, it just keeps people in a stupor state. There was a statement by Abu Bakr. It was Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And I don't remember if this was before Islam or if it was like during Islam. But anyway, he never drunk. He said that he never drunk, consumed khamr because of the fact that there were two men and they drunk some liquor and they were intoxicated. They were so intoxicated they started eating their own feces. And he was like, yo, anything that makes you do that, I ain't messing with it. And a lot of times intoxicants, a lot of Muslims talk about sexual abuse within their family and things of that nature. A lot of that happened with a person, usually the sexual abuser, he on like popcorn. It don't matter whether he was drinking golden anniversaries, Cokie 900, or he was hitting powder, heroin, whatever he was doing, he was on. Or even she, because you got female rapists too. Right? So you have that a lot of that takes place with that. A lot of the lines of adultery being crossed with that kind of socialization, men and women fraternizing, right? Islam puts an end to all that. Right? Our society promotes that. People always crossing lines. They get drunk, they wake up in the bed with each other. Oh snap, what do? We got to keep this, we got to take this to our grave, and things of that nature. So there's no good with khamr, with intoxicants. Ahmar, I thought Ahmar was red. And there's some specialists that can get more into that detail about the actual color, the pigmentation with color and things of that nature. Like one of the things people have, color doesn't play that major role in life, because with the beginning of Adam alayhi salam, it said that the mud, according to Ibn Kathir, the dirt that he was made from was multicolored. It was multicolored.
It was multicolored and multi-textured too, from hard from hard earth, soft earth, rigid earth, brown earth, black earth, white earth, gray earth. It was multicolored. When you put all of them colors together, it's gonna form one solid color.
Mm-hmm. But my case in point is that it was, color wasn't the thing to focus on. You know what I mean? But because, like I said, the white supremacy is divided up black and white, right? One time I was talking to a brother he was from Morocco, and I ain't know how to accept that joke, right? He was like, yo, in my country, you'll be considered white. Like, I ain't white. I got offended. But the world doesn't view everything the same way that we do. They don't have that same reality. I think I have an idea of what you're talking about. The one who mentioned about the monk and he got intoxicated and raped a woman. I remember the one, I don't want to say the name for what you're speaking about, because I know Bautista, he was a monk, and some brothers left their sister with him under their care, and he ended up sleeping with her, and basically when the brothers were returning, he killed her and the baby and buried them, and one of the brothers was informed, in a dream. So maybe that might be the same, the same story, but he didn't rape the woman though. They basically fornicated together. Nah.
And she became pregnant.
Yeah, she got pregnant. Yep. Hold on. My what you call it? Yeah. I'm looking at this now. I'm just saying what the brother mentioned about the regions of having the Moors, Italy, Spain, Andalus, Murabi or Muwahidun. Yeah. So, Saleh, what you think about legalization of weed?
It's to how it is. It's supposed to be. We treat it like liquor. Just because other people don't do it doesn't mean the Muslims supposed to do it. We have another law that we apply by. So, lakum dinakum waliyadin. To him be his way, to me be mine. You want
Now,
to go blow, you want to go smoke, you want to go, pop a perk, you want to go drink, do that over there. I don't have to indulge in it. So, personally, Jersey, if you come to Jersey, it's everywhere. It's legal in Jersey.
yeah,
Everybody outside smoking. So it's common here, but we apply by another law. So if that's what they want to do, let them do it. But if you want to get into Sharia aspect, should we treat it such as like for pain? If a person has pain, chronic pain, can it
right.
be treated like a Percocet? I say it's a little bit more dangerous than a Percocet sometimes, because you could you start blowing, automatically you hide. From what I've seen, I messed up my arm. I had to take something strong before, and I was functional.
But
So
I had when I got my teeth pulled, I had they wrote me a script for Vicodin. This before I knew what Vicodin consists of. Man, I took that job. I started falling asleep, started scratching. I went back to the doctor, got ibuprofen. I was like, man, I'm cool with ibuprofen. I can't do that joint, man. I felt like a fiend. I was
yeah,
sitting there
me, I was
like
good, but
it
soon
had
as
me.
you smoke, yeah, but soon as you smoke weed, it's you high, bro. You high.
Yes, I ain't never smoked weed.
You high. I mean, you blow, especially this this radio that they got. I call it radio. Some people call it loud. I try to watch slang. I'm like E40 when it comes to the citizen. I ain't get hurt, but when you smoke, you automatically you get high. You have to come down off of that. But you do a zen. You do a zen. I think it's more dangerous than oxycodone to a degree. Now, I'm not talking about as addiction wise, right? As addiction, because it's more dangerous as an addiction. But as of an oxycodone, you could pop that, depending on what the milligram is, and be cool. But you go get some pharmaceutical marijuana from so and so, you can be high, brother, and you
Yeah,
got to come down before you pray.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
So it's a good comment right here. Ahmar is red, but it's opposite of Aswad. Romans, Persians were considered Ahmar. Arabs were considered Aswad and Asmar. That's because the United States use color. I guess he's talking about what I mentioned about white supremacists.
Yeah,
Use it as
United
social.
States,
It's absolutely right. Other countries use it as a description.
use color as a social status,
Right.
as a social status, not as a people.
What's this right here? I don't know what's going on, my what you call it tonight, man.
Dang, I ain't see that at the case.
In time to sell it after they always spoke of black skin to the point that Sheikh Bamba in his intro to Masalika Janan. So don't overlook my words because I'm of the black race. They always it's always been like that, but you got to think about it. It was a tribal thing as well.
It was
Oh,
it
it's
was it
phone. I
was
think it's
it,
phone.
it was more because Abu Dhahr, when he had said what he said to Bilal, when he said the son of a slave, son of a black woman, he was talking about he was talking about his mother being a slave. But Abu Dhahr was blacker than Bilal. Bilal was black. but Abdullah was blacker than Bilal. So it wasn't about the color. It was about the status of him being born from a slave woman. And Bilal was an Arab. His father was Arab. His father was Arab, and his mother was Abyssinian. I mean, so he wasn't talking about his skin. He wasn't talking about his skin. The Halima, she was a black woman, the first wet nurse of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yeah, so so it was many black Sahaba.
Come on, y'all see, y'all hear me? See me?
Amr ibn al-As, he read it all, and he was black. Yeah, we hear you. We see you.
We see you.
You went out for a minute.
Hey, it's funny.
Jaffer,
I see somebody mention something about Bilal.
Ibn Abi Talib. Ibn Abi Talib. He was black. Hamza read it all, and he was black. Bani Hashim was known to be of black people, of dark complected people.
Yo, Bilal, he was Abyssinian culturally, but he was from Mecca.
Yeah, and he was Arab.
Complexion was the same complexion. His complexion was complexion of mine. He wasn't dark skinned like they depict in the movies. Not that there's a problem if he was dark skinned, but I'm just saying though. Sometimes us watching old movies and stuff like that, it does something to our psyche. It does something to our psyche. You know what I mean? And if we don't be careful, we could be misguided by that affinity of being recognized or being accepted. Because like I said, I gave that parable earlier, 2 men fighting over a woman. What man gonna be satisfied with just walking away with a leg? Right? And so if the world say, okay, I accept black people, we'll be happy, we probably wouldn't say nothing else. Still don't govern or rule nothing, don't own nothing. Right? You're a man. You're a man, you'd be a man basically banished with no land. Nothing to call your own. And that's what many of us are. We're worse than petty kings. We're
Ronins. We're Ronins.
Men with nothing. And this is why we have the problem that we have. It contributes to our male versus female fight. Our women hold us to a certain standard, but our reality to that standard really ain't as real as everybody's thinking that we're supposed to have it. That's why I don't really believe in that whole concept of referring to yourself as king and queen. And I understand, you use honorific titles to speak life into you, but that's giving a false reality. You're a king, what, based on your pride? Prideful people don't get anything other than the fire. So you gotta have the you use the titles that matches your persona.
You see that comment right there? You see that comment right there?
This one right here.
Yeah. I can respect that. But you so head on, color. And then when you think about the movie too, The Messenger, they had Bilal radiallahu anhu with nappy hair and the Abyssinian. If you look at the Abyssinians now, man, they what is that? Sudan now, right? Or Ethiopia?
Yeah, you got Sudan, Ethiopia.
Yeah, all of that, man. They got some nice. Man, they got some nice curly hair. They had Bilal in that movie looking like the return of the Mac, like that dude, man. Hair nappy. SubhanAllah, man.
No.
Yeah, Abdullah looking crazy in the movie, man. But no, but you head on, to the for the most part, sometimes I just want to sit back and listen, you know what I mean? Because with me, man, I just look at it as it's great to learn our history, especially with these things, man. But with us, man, with us knowing this information, we gotta apply this information and start
Absolutely.
trying to do better.
That's a true fact right there. In African Islamic history, a king is a bad title and looked at as a representative of a tyrant. That is true because the Shehu and his brother Abdullah, he had a debate about whether you should use the title, whether you can use the title king or not. And this has always been an Islamic debate. You had some Muslims who used it, and you had many that criticized the use of the title. That's a good point. And that plays a major role, major part. But what I would like to see come out of this, you take it as a time. If you're going over black, you need to Islamify it, like Imam Aswan down in Alabama. I peep what he been doing all week. If you follow him, his handle on it is Masjid Baitul Haq, I believe it is Masjid Baitul Haq, and he's been posting pictures of Black American Muslim imams that's involved in the struggle for self-determination, right? And he posted Imam Asim and all of them, from the Al Ummah and from the Al Ummah, movement. That's a good thing. You should learn more about your Sunni Islamic tradition. I think that's important. Because you need two things in today's time in order to be able to withstand the influences of society. You need Islam, and you need some sort of tribalism. And why is tribalism? Because that's a unifying factor. Do you realize it's easy to unify gangs before you can unify Muslims? You ever notice that?
I don't know.
I gotta call Amir. I'll be out there, inshallah. What you say, Saleh?
I said, I don't know,
you know
man,
that, right? It's easy. It's easy to unify a gang.
You can't unify them Hoovers.
Well, Muslims, we got revelation.
That's true. That's true.
I know it's easy to unify the street tribes in Chicago. More easier to unify them than it is to unify Muslims. Even the ones that are Muslims, they're unified with each other based off of their street tribe ties.
Yeah, because I can't say that about California, because it's not a big Islamic spirituality in Cali. I mean, so I can't really say that it's out there, but it's not big.
Like a lot of the elders, Imam Asim and them, they used to be part of different gangs, the Moroccos, the Moon Gang, and all that. They used to fight, but when they all became Muslim, they all unified. How they used to bring them all in the way they did was that they would invite whoever the head, the head boy was of their little gang. They bring the crew in. You know what I'm saying? That will bring the crew in. But Muslims, every time you talk about unification and working towards something, right? The first thing that happens is, first line is, how we going to divide them? Okay, we'll divide them. What method have you follow? Who's your sheikh? Where'd you study at? So it's never no real we're not politically mature enough yet to get past that. We can find every reason. It's just even same thing you see with our marriages. We can find everything to divorce a sister, or the sister divorce the brother. I don't like the way his feet smell. I didn't think he had those kind of toes. I thought he had better looking toes than that. I thought his hair was curly. I thought he had more money than that. He ain't been teaching me nothing. I ain't even see him pray last week. He go outside, but I don't know if he really going to the masjid. We could find any and everything to divide. You find any and everything to divide. Nobody wants to submit. There's no such thing, no real thing of black leadership. Black people only want Black people only want a leader in order to complain and somebody to point at, to blame. So when everything ain't going right, we ain't been doing that. We missing in action. But when it ain't being done, we like, see, this ain't you ain't a good leader because you couldn't even do this anyway. This how you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, we have to grow, we have to mature. Most of us like really believe that the whole political system in America work based on voting. No, it don't. It got leadership, every party, even subcategory groups within the major groups, they got a leader and a spokesman. Votes don't get passed unless they know they're getting something out of it. Everything is a quid pro quo. Except for us. We vote as individuals. We think that voting is actually going to make it better for all of us. Only thing you do is get a new leader to tell you the same thing and keep locking up the same people. That's all. Every 20 years is a new drug, and at the off 20 is extreme violence. And then the next 20 after that, so it's a 60-year cycle. The next 20 after that is a combination of drug and the violence together. And then it goes back to violence again, and then it just goes to drugs, and then it just goes to absolutely nothing.
No matter what group I see, Muslims or any other groups, is niggas dressed in new costumes.
What is it? What's that rap group? Poets? The Muslim poet group? The Last Poets. They had the song Negroes and Holy Clothes. It's Negroes and Holy Clothes. But why haven't we made a distinction between ourselves and the rest of those people that you mentioned? Because our behavior does not identify. Our behavior. We can yell about having a proper belief, but if we really had the proper belief, we will minimize our behavior. We would keep our sinfulness, our negligence to a minimum. But because we can quote, off of the textbook, we feel that we're safe. We feel we're safe as long as we can quote the textbook. But the reality is, what are you practicing? And if you was as strong as we claim that we are, then we wouldn't be engaging in half the stuff that we engaging in. So, these things play a major part. They play a major part. So I don't know. I guess it wasn't fair enough to call this the Black History Solutions. I mean, Black History Discussions.
Yeah, it was fair enough to call it.
Fair enough. You know what I mean? I think the title fit the discussion. What say you in the chat? Do you guys believe we did justice to it? Because we were trying to.
Somebody asked a question in the chat.
I can't see it because there's something wrong with my screen right now. I got booted out just a minute ago.
It said only the question is only the Malikis consider Bani Hashim Ahlul Bayt. Many do not. Is that true?
I don't know.
I mean, because Ahlul Bayt is three parts of Ahlul Bayt. You have from Bani Hashim, you have the Ahlul Kursa, which is Ali, Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein, and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then you have the children of Abbas, right? These are all of the people that cannot receive sadaqah. But when you're talking about the family of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the family of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is also included in the Quraysh. Because remember when Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, when he went to study with Imam Malik, and he had introduced himself, he had told Imam Malik that he was from the Quraysh, and he's from the family of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So I never heard that the Malikis only consider Bani Hashim as Ahlul Bayt. So And then you have you have the Ahlul Bayt that's through Hassan and Hussein, and then you have the Ahlul Bayt that's that's Alawi from the children of Ali ibn Abi Talib from the other wives besides after Fatima radiallahu anha alayhi salam.
Yo, what is going on my computer, bro?
Man, you need to go get your tablet, man. You walking around here with this Google
In
Plus.
in North Philly. No, he in West Philly.
No, I'm in West.
Yes, he in West Philly. Yeah,
he messing with that. He messing with that Dell joint. Khalil, unmute your joint.
I said I ain't got no Dell, brother. Don't be insulting me like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Google XR54
I ain't got no
in the
Google
basement.
either. Don't insult me like that. Don't disrespect the eyes. No, I ain't got no problem with Google Chromebooks, but I ain't got that though. Oh man, Mommy, how'd you get booted out?
You want to be a mouse?
Oh no, it just booted me out.
Maybe they my computer there.
It booted me out, but I was still able to. I don't know if y'all could still hear me or whatever.
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, when you was out, nah, we couldn't
when
hear
I was out.
Nah, me and Saleh was sitting talking about my laptop.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, like yo, when y'all was talking, my screen went absolutely black. I heard y'all, but the screen went black.
Somebody watching.
All right, well, everybody that's usually the cue that it's time to go.
Mine's there too, so mashallah, we can end it here.
All right, so what would be? I want the person in the chat. They say we definitely need some cultural approach to Islam. What would be a cultural approach to Islam, given the fact that we are indigenously born in America?
Well,
just some ideas.
I would just say to start your culture from, if you're the first generation, then the culture starts with you. If not, if you got like here, Philly, you got generations, you got families that's 2-3 generations in, some 4. You know what I mean? That's what I believe. You just start from that point. Now, as far as all of the, wanting to make that reconnection, there's ways to do it, like, with all, the whole DNA claim and all that stuff like that. That's good, and you should keep track of your genealogy. That's that is Islamic, very Islamic. Keep track of your lineage. Who your mother's side, the people, your family on your mother's side, or your family on your father's side. Keep, cultural, develop cultural stories. But as far as on the Islamic side, that's only going to be established based on your practice. Like, for instance, the grandfather of the Prophet Sallallahu, what was his name again?
Abdul
Muttalib, right? What was he known for in Mecca, especially when Abraham came? He was known for being the host of the Kaaba.
Yeah, he was the custodian of the Kaaba.
Right. Now, this is the thing. If we are claiming Muslim, but we ain't connecting no community, no Jamaat, no masjid. You just out here floating.
I wanted to point this out too. He made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during that during that event. He made dua to Allah. He didn't call on Lat. He didn't call on Uzzah.
No, he made dua directly.
He made dua directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is your house, you protect.
That how non-Muslim can get their dua answered if they took that same method. If you made dua directly to Allah Ta'ala, no, in the name of Jesus, the Holy Father, the Son, and the Toast, just straight directly to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. But You have to do, families' reputations are gained based off of the work that you put in the community. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't just be, that's the Imam's family. There's other families that contribute to the Jamaat just like the Imam do, but you'll never know it because most people don't go to the masjid and they're not engaged in the community. But you know who's always recognized, they're very notable and always known in the community? Our sisters. Always. They either known by the amount of money they put in, they engagement in classes, they cooking something. Brothers, there's only a handful of brothers that be recognized and known, like, oh, that's brother so-and-so. He was always at Fajr. That was the brother who put the lights up in the masjid. That was the brother who did this. You have to not only just being able to know and connect yourself to your fathers, but you also have to connect yourself to their character, right? Meaning that every man is known for a specific characteristic. They're known for it. And that child, whether it be male or female, they take on that characteristic, right? The same thing. My daughter, she's in talks for marriage, and the brother asked me about a character, and I said, damn, it's crazy because she's like a female me. And I don't know whether he took it as a good thing or a bad thing, but I did say that. I was like, she's a female me.
she the female good part of you.
Yeah, the good part. But that is cultural. How you wear your throws, man. If you wore, I don't care if you made a denim throw, bro. Just wear a throw. I don't care. That might be your twist. Denim throws. If you put chinchilla fur on the hood or on the collar, that's your twist. You know what I mean? If you like on that, that Harlem, flamboyant type stuff, got on a pink throw with some pink shoes and pink Moroccan slippers. You know what I mean? That's your twist.
That's how me and Nafisa gonna be. I'm playing, I'm joking.
Pink shoes with the rhinestones. Inshallah. I guess, all right, Muhammad, you go ahead and establish that tribal dua that you be giving us all the time. That good from the good tribe. You from the tribal khayr. Inshallah, everybody who is listening, we thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you share, like, subscribe. But listen though, this kind of talk right here, I ain't gonna hold you. You're only gonna hear it right here. Everybody ain't gonna say what we saying. They either afraid or they just don't agree with it. But you get it here. You can go anywhere to get the lies, but you're gonna come here for the truth. Barakallahu fikum. All right, well,
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهذه إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقداره العظيم. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني ولا عبدك وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت وأعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت أبوء لك بنعمتك عليك وأبوء لك بذنبي فاغفر لي لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك وارحم الراحمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم آمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقداره العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.